What it do? It's your boy Illuminated D, and you know what I'm saying? We back with another one. The first thing I want to do is thank you to everybody who's liked and commented. And to all the subscribers, Pops and I want to let you know how much we really appreciate you. For you to come and spend your time with us and to consume the content. While we understanding that you have busy lives, we want to thank you and bless. So family, if you'll repeat after me, I can, I will, I have, I done, I did, it is. Amen. So look family, I'm gonna jump right into this video. I had this crazy epiphany. And I know that this video is not gonna be for everybody. So if this video is not for you because it'll be a financial talk, then go ahead and exit now. Don't even waste your time. This is a multi-billion-dollar conversation. It's a multi-billion-dollar conversation. So if that's not for you, just go ahead, click off the video. Thank you. Let them go. For the ones that are actually here that are ready for some good knowledge, check this out, right? So I just had this crazy epiphany. I'm sitting there and I'm looking at like the past 2 years, right? I'm looking at a past 2 years play and I'm like, okay, just last year I was turning up. I was in Korea. I was having an amazing time. We was popping bottles, going crazy, right? Now we came into 2024. In 2024, we had like this flash crash. So in my head, because of what I seen in 2023 inside of the crypto market, I seen the market shoot up, right? And I was able to make a crazy amount of money. So what I did was I pulled leverage. Now, don't get me wrong, like I'm good. Believe me, I'm okay. So I pulled leverage and I watched a 30 ball go. You can just imagine a trading portfolio, but don't look at it as my life portfolio because I have a career, so I'm straight, you feel me? I looked at the 30 ball as like a car loan, you feel me? Like it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this was gonna end me, you feel me? Like it was just a car loan, which is perfectly fine because I don't have a car payment, right? So look at this. I took the 30 ball and I watched the 30 ball. Well, really, yeah, it wasn't a 30, it was like a 28. Let's say a 28 go down because we thought that Bitcoin was gonna hit 100,000. It didn't hit 100,000. It just reverted off of like a 96, 97. I think it was like a 97. So in 2023, going in 2024, I was actively watching the portfolio trade its way down. Now, at some point, you would have said, hey, look, I should have said, hey, look, I think this is going down. Maybe you should just pull and just sit it out for a little bit. Well, when you're a beginner, and this is like for beginners, right? When you're a beginner, you can't see the crystal ball because you don't have the insight. So the insight comes from being with the trading strategy and watching it do what it does for a long period of time so that you can understand what state of the market is in because you analyze the market for such a long time. So you can imagine if let's say an investment comes out and it starts at 0 and then it just goes to like $100, right? From 0 to 100. You just go from 0 to 100. There's no way for you to know in that short amount of time if the product is going to keep going up in value or if at some point people get tired of it and then it starts to go down in value. You see? So because that's such a uncrystal-ballinated world or an uncrystal-ballinated scenario, the only way to actually play is to, you know what I'm saying, prepare for the ride. You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be ups and downs in the market. You just don't know when it's going to happen. So because of that reason, you have to hedge by always having the ability to either buy more or whenever you capitalize off certain gains, then you have to pull yourself out the market. But it all is dependent upon where you bought. Because if you bought from 0 and then you go to 100, the difference in how long and how far up it is compared to like if you bought at $50 and then it goes to 100 plays such a huge part. Now, for the ones that can understand what I'm talking about and that can keep up with me, that's amazing. For the ones that can't, I'm sorry, you have to just go do more research. And then at some point you can become this profitable trader, but I'm speaking at just a different level at this point right now. So this is where I started to like tap in today because I'm sitting here and I'm doing my numbers and I'm just going over everything and I'm like, dang man, you know, I'm like, I think the road that I'm on with Pulse Chain is huge because I'm not going to I can't really say I have an edge. I don't have an edge, but I do have a strategy, right? And my strategy definitely becomes with a lot of indicators, but in those indicators, it makes sense, right? So with my indicators, it's just making sense. Now I'm looking at this, right? I say, well, if we understand that 1 billion Pulse Chain is roughly worth right now, what, $46,000. I think it's like $46,000. You can imagine that that's 1 billion. Now I'm just using a wide number. Now this is all gonna tie into itself, and you gotta bear with me because this is gonna be like a kind of deep video, and I'm trying to tell you like of why there's certain things in the world right now that are like all-time cryptocurrencies in the world. And you know how they say that there's like hundreds and thousands of them? I'm giving you the keys right now. I'm giving you the keys, and I'm about to tell you something crazy. I'm gonna tell you something crazy. So I started doing the research, and this is why they would say, you know, well, just bear with me. So you can imagine, what I'm looking at is we're just talking about the Pulse Chain network. There's a lot of networks out there, but right now we're strictly talking about Pulse Chain because this is gonna be the next biggest thing in the world. I'm kind of like Da Vinci. The truth is, I'm a time traveler, but people aren't gonna believe that until they see it. So let me tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why, and then you can do your research, right? So I started looking at this billion Pulse Chain number, and I said, okay, well, 100 million is great, 200 million is great, but let's look at this billion Pulse Chain area. Well, right now we're roughly sitting at 0.00046, right? Which is roughly equivalent to every 4,600 is 100. I believe it's 100 million tokens. Yes. So every 4,600 is going to be 100 million tokens, right? Now, if you do that by 10, it turns into $46,000 per billion. Now, this is what I want to tell you. Pulse Chain is deflationary. Let's look at our whole financial system. Everything is inflationary. Why? I'm going to ask you a simple question. Why do you think that Bitcoin is the biggest thing in the world? This is the epiphany that I just had in my bathroom, and it drove me like mad because I wanted to start digging into it and I couldn't get it off. So I'm trying to get it off top, like on camera for you, but you know, like I have this disconnect still, like where it's like I'm learning how to like talk to the camera the same way that I talk to myself. So you got to bear with me on this one. But look, this was super deep because Bitcoin is deflationary. It's inflationary, but it's deflationary. Now, let me explain that real quick, and then we're going to jump back into this billion coin of Pulse Chain and why it's going to be the next biggest thing, or one of them. It's not going to be the only biggest thing, but one of the biggest things in the world. Okay, so let's look at Bitcoin. It takes electricity to mine Bitcoin. So that means that you have a couple different things. This is why it's so scarce, right? It takes electricity, it takes a computer, and it costs, right? So in our world, electricity costs a certain amount per wattage per hour, right? Watts. So you can imagine that if you're trying to mine Bitcoin, at the beginning it was super easy, but at some point it became very hard to access because there's only 21 million of them. So right? So that means that as you computedly print more Bitcoin over time, every 4 years, they say the halvening. Now, it only happens every 4 years because people are currently actively trying to mine it. If nobody was trying to mine it, it wouldn't do anything. But it's free money because people decided that it was going to be a scarce investment. They decided that it was going to be something huge in the world because it was a breakaway from an already broken financial system that was built. But listen, I know I'm going deep and I'm going all over the place, but you got to keep up with me. So You got Bitcoin, which is inflationarily deflationary. So that means that there's only a capped supply. There's only so much that you can get. And over time, it gets hard to make because you have to use electricity, which means that people have to use factories at some point, which means that only the individuals who are either already rich off Bitcoin have the ability to either get it, or they're rich inside of starting a business and then they're investing into it. Either you're printing it as a worker, which still costs you electricity prices, high electricity prices, or you're a buyer of it, which means that you're buying at all-time highs of $100,000 because you didn't want to put the work in. So the individuals that put the work in get the reward, but they got to still pay the price. They still got to pay the price. So the little average person will never have the opportunity to ever get in because they didn't start. But if you would have been a little person and put in the work on your laptop when it first came out, then you would have been rewarded in the future. Now, I'm trying to bring this into hindsight because there's only so many Bitcoin that are going to come into existence, right? So there's only so many. So that means that over time it gets more scarce, okay? Now, this is why we're going to come into this, right? So now we have another object that is deflationary. In hindsight, the whole project is deflationary. There was only a capped supply that came out based off of how many people actually invested in the project. And then based off that, there was a ratio created. Okay, this is how many need to get minted into reality, right? Minted into reality. And then at that point, we give the people the ability to put it on the market. So people decided the price again the same way as if they decided Bitcoin, which is called Pulse Chain, PulseX. Hex, I understand these are just coins inside of the network, but let's use Pulse Chain, for example. I want to use Pulse Chain. We could use PulseX, but I'm gonna use Pulse Chain. So basically, let's look at this 1 billion factor. Now you gotta understand a lot of things that Pulse Chain happens is through Ethereum, but let's just talk about Pulse Chain. I just want to stick to Pulse Chain and tell you why this is the next biggest thing. If the other parameters can make sense, like if Ethereum can go to like 10,000, 4,000, 5,000, it just depends. But in this scenario that Pulse Chain, and in the scenario that if Ethereum actually does great numbers, then Pulse Chain is going to capitalize, which then in turns Pulse Chain into one of the next biggest things in the world. Okay, I'm just going to give you to you like that. Now stick with me, stay with me. I know it's a lot of information. Just go back, run it back, keep listening, keep trying to tap into what I'm talking about because this is crazy. Let's look at that billion number, because Pulse Chain is 0.000046. Let's look at that billion number. 100 million Pulse Chain is worth $4,600. Times that by 10, right? That's $46,000 for the billion. You can imagine, right? This coin is deflationary. So that means that there's an AAM bot. Every time somebody purchases it, there's a little supply that gets taken off the market and destroyed. It gets taken off the market and destroyed, so it can never be market dumped. So over time, the overall amount that was created into reality goes down. And over time, that means the price goes up because it becomes more scarce. So now you can imagine if you get 1 billion tokens at $46,000, right? 1 billion tokens. If Pulse Chain goes to 3 zeros and a 1, so instead of 0.1234.6, right? 46. So you got 4 zeros and then a 4.6. That's equivalent. 100 million is 4,600. 1 billion is 46,000. Okay. Now what I'm trying to tell you, keep up with me. Keep up with me. You got to keep up with me. Now, if it goes from 4 zeros to 3 zeros and a 1, right? You got to, let's say you got 1 billion tokens, 3 zeros and a 1. We're not that far off. You got to understand how much money moves through the bull market in different times, right? And people decide that Ethereum is doing the right thing, and then they start investing into Ethereum, right? And Ethereum goes up, Pulse chain is going to move too. And it's not solely based off Pulse chain. You got to understand, it's not solely based. But let's just do the numbers. A billion tokens at 3 zeros and a 1 turns into 100,000. 3 zeros and a 2, 200,000. 3 zeros and a 5, 500,000. What if you had 10 billion? What if you had 10 billion? 3 zeros and a 1? That's a million. 2 zeros and a 1. 10 million. 10 cent. 100 million. Let's go back to the billion. 3 zeros and a 1. 100,000. 2 zeros and a 1. A million. 10 cent. 10 million. 10 million. A dollar. 100 million. Solana went to 200. Listen, what I'm trying to tell you is it's deflationary. However many people move inside of the market, every time they do a transaction, a little bit is taken and taken off the market. And I know up front, it doesn't seem like it's a lot. It doesn't seem like that up front because not a lot of people are using the product. But what if at some point it becomes just as usable? We're doing more daily transactions than Cardano. We're outperforming Cardano with daily transactions. And Cardano went to $1. Cardano went to like $3, right? That's huge. Do you know how many? That was like a $2 billion market cap. Do you know how big that was? I found out about Cardano on eToro. There's no way I should have been buying Cardano at like 98 cents, bro. That shit had already shot up. It did crazy numbers. So what I'm trying to tell y'all is Pulse chain is huge right now. If you take like $10,000, you're able to like flip that and turn it into like maybe 50,000 easily in the bull market. Easily. I mean, I understand like it's probably just like my bias, but because y'all don't understand why, y'all aren't investing in it. But what I'm telling you is that this is probably like the easiest $1 million that you'll ever make. It's probably the easiest $1 million because of the sacrifice wallet. I'm trying to tell you, man, we got a lot of things in this network, and I know something because I'm making bread. I changed my mindset. My mindset is not the same anymore. You know what I look at? This is what I look at now. Okay, instead of me trading my dollars, so instead of me taking my dollars out of my bank account and then I say, hey, look, I'm going to trade this ratio for this amount of Pulse chain, I changed it. I took my mindset out of fiat currency, right? I'm still, of course, I love the dollar, duh. But I changed my mindset into crypto is my main source of bread, right? I borrowed the first and I said, okay, now crypto is my main source of bread. I use my career to pay back the dollar amount, right? And then I look at it like this. What I'm trading for is I'm trading my crypto for higher amounts of dollars to ratio trade those higher amount of dollars for lower prices of my coin so that I can buy more of my coin, which means that through a put, interestingly, through a put, because everything doesn't always go up. Sometimes it has to go down. So through a put, I have the ability to capture more money because my money's stable. So because I'm in Pulse chain, right? I have a crazy amount that I'm trying to get, right? My goal is to get a crazy amount. And it's okay for the market to fluctuate. That's what we want it to do. We want it to do that. As long as it's done the right way. Risk has to be taken in order to get to the next level. But I mean, if you're not willing to take any risk because you have a family, you got to find safer ways to take a risk. So look at this, right? I'm trying to break this down to y'all. But look, I took my mindset out of the fiat currency and said, hey, look, now my currency is crypto. Boom. Now what I'm doing is I hold my currency, and whenever my currency overturns my dollar amount that I bought my currency at, I have the ability to capture more of my coin at lower ratios because it fluctuates. You see what I'm saying? But understanding that over time, my coin still only goes up because it's deflationary. Because whenever people purchase inside of the network, you have to go through my coin in order to buy anything else. You can't do anything else. You have to go through my coin. You have to go through Pulse chain. It's just like Ethereum. It's just like Bitcoin. On Bitcoin Network, you got to use Bitcoin in order to buy anything. In Ethereum, you have to have Ethereum up front to move your Shiba Inu, to move your Dogecoin. I'm trying to break this down to y'all in the highest level that I can, is that pulse chain will be one of the next biggest things in the world. One of them. May not be the only, but it will be one. And I'm trying to put y'all on game ahead of time, family, because y'all deserve to be free. You deserve it. Your family deserves it. Do you know how long we've been fighting for many years? We've been trying to survive. But we have an opportunity here. And it doesn't mean that you have to have the most amount. Just put in a little bit daily. Put in $1 a day. That's $30 every month. That's nothing for most people. Most people got that and they blow it. They blow it on drinking. They blow it on everything else. Take a couple dollars and just buy some pulse chain, because of how deflationary this is. And when if a billion people come in, or 100 million people come in and they start playing in the network, instantly the prices are going to skyrocket. What if pulse chain went to $1,000? I know that sounds absurd, but it's possible because the buy and burn. And you got to do your research. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm trying to tell you. So look at me as like a time traveler. You can see it. You can see it. We're in the presence. We're in the presence. So because I'm trying to tell you something, and if you don't listen to me, it's okay. That's okay too. But I just want to let you know that we all have an opportunity to be here, and we all have an opportunity to change our lives. You just got to do your research, because we all want to be successful. We all want to be somewhere in life. But in order to do that, you got to do something that you ain't never done before. And that's the reason that we doing this right here, right now. Bless. Peace.